Hello again. We're back for another check-in, another video, another end of the week, which is pretty crazy. Quite a bit come up today, to be honest. I don't really have to say I'm kind of shocked. I don't know why. I just kind of anticipated today was going to be quiet, but there was a lot going through my mind, and a lot of things came up. So definitely a few things that might be of interest for anyone out there running their own business, or just even, to be honest, some of the stuff might be applicable to anyone that really just wants to maybe try and help themselves out work-wise. But so this week in general, I was looking at a big thing I brought up on Tuesday, I think it was in Tuesday's video, maybe Monday, was I basically recognized I need to be much more conscious of where my time is going. I'd let that slide, which is ironic because it's one of the key things I say to agency owners is pretty important, and it is. The reason I let it slide was I just felt pretty clear on where my time was going. But as of anything, if it falls off, I mean, you can't just, it was naive of me to assume I knew what was going on week to week. And the last few weeks, it just felt like certain things were creeping up or, falling to the wayside, and I wasn't really sure why. So I was looking at where the time has gone this week, and I mean, very little in terms of billable hours. Like it's been a huge amount of BD, admin, some operation stuff for myself, and just trying, I suppose, thinking about a few things, just trying a couple of different things out, which is great. It's nice to have a week like that where I didn't really need to or have to do much client work. I know that's going to happen. I'd say in a month at the moment I kind of have usually about a week like that. Then I might have a week where there's a good bit of client work to be done, and then I'll have a couple of weeks where I'm actually with clients doing things. So that's the balance at the moment. But tracking the time has been really interesting this week. Equally, something I used to do a lot more of that I'm going to implement from really today onwards was there were just like one or two of these quite frustrating actions that were lingering, or certain tasks that they just sit there, things that sit on a to-do list. You write it down 4 times in a week because it's always on the to-do list, or it's stored on a doc or a sheet somewhere and you're not getting through it. And it can be really frustrating. And it's stuff that stays there because you know it's important, but for some reason, don't really know the psychology behind it, you don't get it done. So today I was like, I'm going to try something I used to do quite a lot of, which is just change up the environment that you're in. Went to a coffee shop for a couple of hours. Lo and behold, the 2 key things that had been on the list for too long, done, And it was almost just like I went to that coffee shop to do those 2 things and nothing else. And it was as simple as that. I mean, even saying that out loud is kind of laughable in some ways. I mean, it's just really basic, but it seemed to work. So yeah, changing up the environment, something I've talked to people a lot about in the past. It really helped when I was working in the agency I was with. I used to find doing it every now and then for certain tasks really helped. And there we go. We implemented it again today, and it seems to have worked the trick, or done the trick, which is nice. You might want to give it a go. I think, I certainly wouldn't say, at least in the past, I haven't found this to be too helpful. If you go somewhere for like half a day, that's still quite long. I think for me, if I go somewhere for an hour or 2, it's just a short window of time to do 1, maybe 2 things, like today. And that's really where that can be beneficial. So that was one thing. The 2 small things before I get on to a bigger thought I've had, or a realization from this week. So something again, I did a list of things recently. I basically dumped my brain onto a bit of paper recently about stuff that was annoying me, or that I was doing well, that I wanted to do more of. One of the things was, I feel like sometimes I get to the end of the week, and if I ask myself what happened this week, I'd kind of be like, unsure, or I'd write out 2 things, and I would know that that's, I'm not doing myself justice because I did way more than those 2 things. So I don't know whether it's just I just do things and then I put them away and they're gone, I forget about them, or I don't know if it's that I'm not actually doing these things and I'm just convincing myself I'm doing more than I think. So I said, right, I need a way of documenting what's actually happening. And to an extent, doing this is that, right? It's my way of being like, this is what's come up for me this week, this is what's on my mind, this is what we made progress on. But what I've started doing is at the end of each day, I literally send myself an email. You know, you might be thinking, okay, you know, you're getting so little into your inbox, Ross, that you need to send yourself emails. That's not great. But joking aside, I literally just send a what happened today email, and so far it's been great. It's been so interesting I schedule it to come into my inbox tomorrow morning. So I'll do it for Monday morning because tomorrow's Saturday, and I probably won't work on tomorrow. So on Monday morning I'll get an email from myself that says what happened on Friday, and it'll be a list of like 6 or 7 things, and it's honestly it's magic. This morning I got it, and you know, it's amazing. It just got me on the right foot from the moment I opened the inbox, as opposed to kind of scrambling a little bit to find out, you know, what happened the previous day. And I don't even know. I don't understand it. I thought, again, it's simple stuff to me, but it's certainly helping so far. So we'll see what it's like over the coming weeks. In a similar vein, I remember I had TikTok for a while, and there were some interesting people on TikTok from a business perspective. There were a couple of people. There's one guy in particular, Tim, I forget his surname, but he would do a TikTok of his day, and he's got a pretty senior role in an agency, so I found his content interesting. He would do like a win the week email, and it basically is just what's a good week going to be for him or for his team, I think. Again, it's something I started doing, and it really is just what are the things you're focusing on. So it's not I want to clear my inbox. It's like, you know, for me, one of the big things this week was I needed to do a new list of prospects, or refresh my list of prospects, and I did it. And it's a huge thing for my business in the context of you obviously want to be continually reaching out to new people, and I have a good process for doing that, but the list of people was getting quite dry. So I did that over the last couple of days for a few hours, and I mean it's a really important business task. It's done now. And in a similar way to the, you know, what happened today email, the win the week email, that again is going to myself, comes in on a Friday. So I checked today, and I was like, okay, how am I getting on with this? What's the progress been like on the key things? So I've done 3 out of 4. Brilliant. Can I do the 4th one today? Actually, no, but that's all right, because I know I'll get it done on Monday or Tuesday or whatever it is. So doing that once a week as well. So those were like 2 or 3 cool things. I think, again, these are just small things that work for me personally. Am I sitting here saying that if you're running a business or an agency, you should do these 3 things? Absolutely not. I'm just giving you an idea. You know, and you might take one of them, you might take none of them, you might take all 3, you might already do some of them, but it's just the small things that help you make progress. That's basically what I'm getting at. So yeah, anyway, the main thing that's come up, I felt it's been the case for a while, to be honest. I need to do it next week, because it's absolutely, I mean, it's really important for the business. So I need to sharpen my positioning again. So I think too often at the moment, I'm hearing something like, oh, so you kind of help agencies on the operations side, right? With a question mark at the end. And if someone is speaking to me and saying that, it means I'm not doing something right, because that should not be a question. It needs to be way more clear to people what I'm doing to help agency owners who are feeling a certain pain point. So website, LinkedIn, website, LinkedIn, I need to sharpen the language 100%. And I knew this was going to happen, right? You know, 6 months ago I was telling the world that I help any founder of any business. So we've come a long way, which is great, but it needs to be tighter. And if I hear someone on a call have uncertainty about what I do and why I do it and for who, I think that's a problem, or it is a problem. So that's the big thing for next week. I already know. And you know, why am I leaving it to next week? I just want to have a bit of a think about the language I want to use in certain places. I'm confident I know the pain points. I'm confident in what I do well for people and how I work with them. What I'm maybe struggling a little bit is the language I use to connect those 2 things. So yeah, I might get someone to help me, to be honest. If anyone knows a great copywriter or someone that can help with positioning, by all means, I'd love to chat to them. But yeah, that's probably the main thing that it came up today on a call where I was speaking to someone. I reached out to a few people just in general on the sales/BD lead gen side, just to see how they think about things. And yeah, 2 out of the 4 people I've spoken to said that my positioning was a little bit off or a little bit weak and it could be sharpened. And I think that just plays, that was more like that was not the straw that broke the camel's back, that's a bit extreme, but it was the nudge I needed to really prioritize this. Because if they're saying that, there are people that specialize in helping people get clients, and they were like, this would be probably the one thing that isn't good enough or that they'd want me to improve. So yeah, that was quite a lot, to be honest. I'm kind of out of breath. That was a lot for a Friday. Wow. Okay. Well, that's another week. Plenty came up. Plenty went well. Really good week on the business development front. And yeah, I've got a couple of online sessions next week with clients, which will be good. So I might have some interesting material to talk through off the back of some of those. And yeah, beyond that, I probably have a few other topics that I've already lined up a few topics for next week. Content wise on YouTube is exciting. So anyhow, that's all. I will finish up. What am I doing now? Do I need to finish anything now? I do. I've got a couple of emails to wrap up, and that'll be that. Yeah, again, I'm not going to sit on too late on a Friday. Like, this is, it's good to sign off at a reasonable time, and yeah, enjoy the weekend. Lots of sport on this weekend, so I'm a happy guy. All right, I'll chat to you next week.